She left the house like she always did. Just a quick run. Same route, same quiet town. No one expected it to be the last time anyone would see her alive. Grubbs, Arkansas. A place so small you can count the streetlights. A place where nothing ever really goes wrong until it does. By nightfall, a family was desperate. A town was searching. And the silence, it was getting louder by the minute. What began as a normal day would unravel into something far darker than anyone was prepared for. Because the truth wouldn't just break this community, it would shake the very people who thought they knew everyone here. She was young, bright, loved by all, but behind one familiar face was a secret no one saw coming. This is not just a story about what happened, it's about who did it and how close they really were. Welcome to Unveiled Crime Mysteries channel, where I unveil mysterious true crimes, some lost to time, others fresh in memory. Justice might not be served, but the shadow is unveiled. Grubbs sits quiet in Jackson County, Arkansas, a dot on the map, just over 300 people, families that go back generations. A place where doors aren't locked and everyone's name is known. This is where Sydney Sutherland lived. She was 25, the youngest child of Maggie and Dion. Her brothers Tyler and Sam watched over her like hawks. Maggie said they were best friends. She and Sydney spoke all the time, did everything together. Sydney lit up any room she walked into, always smiling, always moving. She lived with Alex, her boyfriend of 4 years, loved walking the dogs, hitting the gym, a bit of shopping, spoiling her nieces. They called her Aunt Sassy. Her best mate Jordan said no one knew their friends like Sydney did. Sydney knew exactly what you needed and when you needed it. She'd left school as an outstanding senior. Her yearbook quote, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." And that was her, through and through, uplifting, supportive, a perfect fit for the job she loved, nursing at Harris Medical Center. By August 2020, Sydney and her family had just returned from holiday in Destin, Florida. It was the 18th. The next day, her doorbell camera caught her unloading the car, workout clothes on, fresh from the gym. She was unpacking, easing back into routine. Popped by her mum's house to drop off some post, told Maggie she was going home to bake, maybe brownies, maybe cookies, and wanted to squeeze in a run too. Maggie warned her not to overdo it, but running was Sydney's thing. She did it nearly every day. Even after an hour at the gym, a quiet jog sounded perfect. Headspace, just her and the road. "Love you. I'll talk to you later," she said as she walked out. "I love you too," Maggie called back. Sydney got home, synced her Apple Watch, headed out. A UPS driver spotted her jogging down State Highway 18, that stretch between Newport and Grubbs. It was around 2:30 p.m. He remembered her clearly. No traffic, no one else out, just her, the road, and fields on either side. Called Maggie. Nothing since Sydney dropped off the post. Her phone went straight to voicemail, Snapchat unopened, messages unread. This wasn't like her. Not at all. She hated making people worry. Alex couldn't shake it. Either she was hurt somewhere, or something worse. Grubbs wasn't the kind of place where things like this happened, but as night fell, police mobilized. The search began, fast and full scale. By 7 a.m. the next morning, it had exploded. Sydney's family, local sheriffs, state police, U.S. Marshals, even the FBI, dozens of departments, all combing the area. During a break, Maggie spoke with Quake, a farmer from the area. He'd gone to school with Sydney, said he'd seen her running too. Nothing strange, no injury, no one following her. Not on foot, not in a car. County Road 41, that's where she was last seen. Her usual jogging route. Now it was packed, cars creeping up and down, drones overhead, boots in the dirt.
Search for a missing Jackson County woman involving multiple law enforcement agencies now, and it continues. 25-year-old Sydney Sutherland was last seen jogging off Highway 18. Here's her photograph. She was jogging between Newport and Grubbs. Claire Kreis has been in Jackson County all day. She's joining us now with the latest on the search efforts there. Claire, what do we know about the search? How's it going? Has it turned up anything?
Yeah, Bob, County Road 41 is the last place Sydney Sutherland was seen. This is actually a typical jogging route for her. Now it's filled, you can see, filled with people driving up and down, searching, trying to bring her back home safe. From the sky to boots on the ground, Law enforcement from across the county and even the state are exhausting every option to find 25-year-old Sydney Sutherland.
We're working every aspect that we can think of.
According to Jackson County Sheriff David Lucas, Sutherland was last seen around 2:30 on this county road near her home.
She was on foot, out walking and jogging. We received that information from a UPS driver this morning that saw her.
Since then, no one has heard from her, and no one knows what happened to her.
We're not ruling anything out.
Lucas says she did have her phone, and they've tried to track its last known location.
With the phone pings that we've been getting from AT&T, plus the information from the people that said they saw her, it's pretty much going to be in that general area, and that's where we're concentrating the most right now.
It's not just police and sheriff deputies searching the fields for anything out of the ordinary.
Where somebody might have turned around out in a field with a truck or backed up in it, weeds that are rolled over.
Hoyt Brown is helping with the search efforts on his day off.
It's helping people when they need help.
He says he can't believe something like this happened in this small rural community.
I was kind of shocked.
Now he just hopes his and all the other volunteers' efforts break some ground on Sutherland's disappearance. So this area behind me is actually the staging area for the search. Sheriff Lucas says there are no solid leads at this time. So we ask if you know anything or if you have seen her or even think that you have seen her to please call the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Reporting live in Jackson County.
Her phone pinged not far from where Quake and the driver had seen her. And then the next day, police found the phone, lying on the ground, undamaged, less than a quarter mile from her home. The next 24 hours brought more of the same. Now, over 300 volunteers were out searching, but a sick feeling was spreading. Sydney was only 5'3", barely 7.5 stone. If someone had pulled her into a car, it wouldn't have taken much. Maggie was crawling along the roadside on her hands and knees when she spotted something tiny. A small white bead. She knew it straight away. It had come from Sydney's bracelet. Others held vigils, lit candles, waited for news. The whole town seemed to stop. Friday, August 21st, the search started again at first light, and by midday, the sheriff made an announcement.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 10 o'clock, everybody. I'm Bob Clausen. A suspect is in custody in the case of a missing jogger in Jackson County.
That afternoon, the case shifted. It wasn't a missing persons investigation anymore. It was worse.
Tonight, a heartbreaking ending for a search for a missing Jackson County woman. The Jackson County Sheriff confirming the body of 25-year-old Sydney Sutherland has been found.
Her body was buried in a shallow grave, in a field not far from where everyone had already searched. The coroner confirmed it. Blunt force trauma, multiple injuries. She had been murdered. Sheriff David Lucas had seen a lot in his time, but this case, it hit different. It weighed heavy. It hits me personally.
I do know the family, know them well. I know Sydney, watched her grow up. She went to school with my girls.
It's all about Sydney and remembering her.
Honoring the light that went dark.
One thing about this community is when a tragedy happens, everybody comes out full force.
It's been just days.
Sydney's our family.
Days since Sydney Sutherland went for a run and never came home. In just days, this community has been without the girl this crowd says was a friend to all. But instead of focusing on how she left this earth, they focus on what she left behind.
She didn't have to have recognition. She didn't have to be in the front. She didn't have to be recognized for anything that she did. She was just a silent servant.
She was a firecracker. She was sassy. She was loving. She was caring, compassionate.
From candle to candle and memory to memory, folks say tonight Sydney Sutherland was honored.
Rejoicing with us, and she's in a better place.
2 days after finding her, the police named their suspect. It was Quake Llewellyn, the same man who had looked Maggie in the eyes and said he saw Sydney jogging, the same man who joined the search, who posted in the Facebook groups, who hugged her family. Maggie recalled walking over to him.
Walked over to him and I said, Quake, can you tell me anything? What was Sydney doing? You know, did you see anything unusual? Did you meet anybody unusual? He goes, no, she was just running. I said, you don't have anything you can tell me? No, she was just running. And he just kind of gave me a little hug.
He gave you a hug?
Gave me a hug.
What did that feel like in that moment?
It was something felt odd. I walked back over to the group and I was like, something's wrong.
Quake was no stranger, a third-generation farmer, married, stepfather to 3 kids, managed thousands of acres. Everyone in town knew the Llewellyns, Sydney's family included. They were Jackson County Farm Family of the Year in 2016, a well-known name. Police confirmed he and Sydney knew each other. They had once been Facebook friends, but no one really knew how close they were. Quake came forward himself, walked into the station, said he may have been the last person to see her alive. He and his father let police search his pickup, and that's when they saw it. Blood on the tailgate. Phone data placed him near where Sydney's phone was found, and where her body had been buried. CCTV from his home showed him driving off, then returning later, his truck now dented. He told police he hit her with his truck, said it was an accident, said dust got in the way. Then he panicked, said he didn't know what to do, put her in the truck, drove off, took her clothes off, messed with her, then he buried her. Later, he admitted he hid the clothes he wore that day in a laundry basket at his mum's house. Police collected evidence: a black shirt with blonde hair, black and pink shorts. He was arrested and charged with capital murder, rape, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse. He pleaded not guilty. A judge found him competent to stand trial. The death penalty was on the table, but his wife filed for divorce. She had no idea what he'd done. Police confirmed she wasn't involved. Behind closed doors, some locals had their doubts about Quake long before this. One anonymous source said he'd been caught spying on women, watching them change or shower, stalking younger girls, even harming animals. According to Arkansas State Police, he wasn't just passing by. He was driving west on County Road 41, saw Sydney, turned around, hit her on purpose. He pulled her into the truck, took her away, raped her, buried her. Sydney's funeral was packed. Too many people to fit inside, so it was streamed, giving everyone a chance to say goodbye. Quake insisted he didn't mean to hit her, but it was his word against the evidence. He spoke to psychologists, told them he just tried to forget what he'd done, went back to work like nothing happened. I knew I didn't kill her on purpose. The state offered a plea deal. The Sutherlands accepted. No death penalty. Lesser charges dropped. What they wanted now was finality. Amy Lovins, Sydney's boyfriend's mum, said, "My husband said the death penalty is an easy way out for him. I hate him. I know that's an awfully strong word. I've never hated anybody in my whole life. One of these days I'll let that go for my own peace. As long as I'm feeling that way, evil is winning, and evil will not take me down. I won't ever forgive, and I won't ever forget, but for my own good, I'll have to let that part go." As part of the plea, Quake confessed in court, rape and capital murder. Maggie stood and faced him. She made him look at her. "She was not yours to take. The hands you hugged me with are the same hands you killed her with. True justice for Sydney, my daughter, would be for her to be here. What you took away from us 408 days ago, we'll never get again. Did she fight you? Did she cry? Did she ask for her brothers? Was it really worth it? I take pleasure in knowing that from this day forward, you'll be known as a number with no name."
Any last words? Any regrets?
Today, a judge agreed to a plea deal that will send the man accused of killing a Jackson County woman to prison for the rest of his life.
Today, we have waited 408 days for Quake Llewellyn to be held accountable for my daughter's senseless murder.
Maggie Sutherland says she never has to worry about Quake Llewellyn again, and a deal made to spare his life. On Friday, Llewellyn pled guilty to capital murder and rape, a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Llewellyn's defense team tells me the death penalty could have been likely if it had gone to trial.
Sydney's family chose life to offer us that, and I think that's always the best way to go.
The defense calls it a moment where Llewellyn owned up to his actions.
I wanted to accept responsibility for what he had done.
Tammy Watson, Llewellyn's distant cousin, left court in tears.
I feel so sad for Sydney's family.
Watson says her heart is broken because Llewellyn's parents lost their son today, too.
Quake's mother and father, they have been through so much.
They're the ones that said, go in there and you tell them the truth.
Quake Llewellyn has answered for his horrendous actions.
Maggie can go home with the last word.
That afternoon, Sydney had gone out to do what she always did. A run down a road she'd known all her life. A road no one thought twice about. But everything changed. Just like that, and the damage, it rippled out forever. Today people still run for her. They wear pink, her favorite color, One event is called Finish Sydney's Run. It happens every year.
Lacing up for Sydney Sutherland and running to remember.
I literally would just kind of replay over and over in my mind, Sydney didn't get to finish this.
Danielle Wright grew up with Sutherland and her family, and now she says she's going the extra mile to honor the nurse who loved a lot more than just running. It's all a part of a social media challenge called Finish Sydney's Run, going the distance and tagging others across the state to do the same.
It does not have to end right here with her run. We can continue to do the things that Sydney loved to do.
Wright says with every step on this 8.19-mile run, she thinks of the friend who didn't make it home from hers.
Her spirit is just soaring through every run, through every Facebook share. Her story is being told, and people are wanting to know, who is Sydney?
So Wright says she hopes others will run too, striding every day to be more like Sydney Sutherland.
The overpass near where she was last seen now bears her name, the Sydney Sutherland Memorial Overpass, and that little white bead, the one Maggie found in the dirt, she wears it now on her wrist, every day. The family are building a foundation in Sydney's name. There's a scholarship at Arkansas State University for future nurses. You can still feel her in that town. Not gone, just different. Her friend Melanie said it best. Sydney was probably the best part of what any human wants to be. Sydney Sutherland went out for a run on a quiet summer afternoon. She never got the chance to finish it, but her story didn't end in that field. It lives in every runner who laces up in her name, in every candle lit, every pink ribbon tied, every life she touched and still touches. The man who took her life will never see another day of freedom. No escape, no excuses, just a number in a cell. He may have stolen her future, but he will never own her memory, because Sydney wasn't just a victim. She was a daughter, a sister, a nurse, a friend, and a spark in a place that now burns a little brighter because she was there. Justice didn't bring her back, but it gave her family the only thing left to fight for, the final word, and they spoke it with strength. Sydney's name won't be forgotten, not in Grubs, not anywhere. If you liked this story, let us know in the comments. For more real stories daily, subscribe, turn on notifications, and we'll see you next time. There's always another case to be unveiled. Remember,